Good morning, or I think it's afternoon now, but I just wanted to do a quick video. I think I've kind of resolved with myself to do one every week, just kind of as an update and to share some thoughts I had on some things. As far as business, I got my LLC and my EIN in my hand last week, so that was a big deal for me. I took today off so that I can go run some errands, go get my business license, study, because I'm still preparing for this personal training certification exam. And I've been working hard. I still have 2 jobs, and I took a little time off this weekend for myself just because I needed some rest time. And today, as I've been sitting around studying, I've been listening to the Therapy for Black Girls podcast, and it got me thinking about some things that have happened this past week that I wanted to call attention to. One of the things that has come up recurring through this week for me as I read and study and kind of step outside of my comfort zone is willingness. We have to be willing to step outside of what is comfortable, what is familiar, in order for things to progress or change. I was talking to one of my friends over the weekend, and I was just like, vegan food doesn't really look appealing. I have seen some chefs post some recipes, and I was just like, number one, I don't feel like it's practical that I'm going to be able to cook some of this stuff. And then number two, it doesn't look appetizing. And so that brought me back to the thought of willingness, because you never know until you try. I'm going to kind of step out there and get a food processor and a dehydrator, so that at least if I'm going to try some of these modifications, I'll be able to do it a little bit easier because I have the products in my home. But everybody can't afford that. Yeah, it's tax time, so you might want to use your taxes or whatever to do things. But the reality is, I think the approach that I'm going to take for my business is more of on a practical side, because realistically, I have 2 jobs. I am a single parent. I do have help with my son, but on a day-to-day basis, most of the time, the person who's cooking meals and picking him up is me. So I have to be able to approach this lifestyle change from a practical place, which means I have to be willing. I have to be willing to sit down and take the time to look at Pinterest and go on Google and pull up recipes. And I have to be willing to try things I've never tried. I don't mind cauliflower. I don't mind raw spinach and kale and stuff. But then when you start talking about radishes and artichokes and beets, I'm like, well, what is that and what does it taste like? I don't want to waste my money. But anyway, before ranting, the point that I'm making is you have to be open to experiencing new things, and then you also have to be open to letting things go. One of the things that I have found this week in talking to clients, talking to friends, is willingness. You have to be willing to let go of pain. You have to be willing to let go of old behaviors. You have to be willing to let go of old thought processes. You have to be willing to let go of non-supportive relationships. And I think that's something that is hard for a lot of people, is because once you have somebody in your life, you think they're supposed to stay there forever. And I remember one of the pastors or something in church I used to go to used to always say, people are here for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so sometimes people come into your life for one specific purpose. They just come to show you something, to take something, to teach you a lesson, to serve a certain purpose, and they may not be coming to stay. They may only be around for a certain amount of time, and then it's okay to let go. Somebody dropped the phone. A lot of us have a hard time with let go. Let go. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. You just have to let go. And because we get comfortable. We get comfortable in certain thought patterns. We get comfortable in certain behaviors. We get comfortable in dysfunction because it's familiar. Because I know this person, I know this situation, and I'm safe here. And even though you aren't safe there, you're comfortable, you're familiar. These are things that I have had to learn the hard way. These are things that I have had to learn, recognize, accept, and improve upon the hard way. And so coming to grips with the letting go and stepping outside of our comfort zone led me to reaching out to a couple of holistic nurses this week. So that's something else that I learned in business is We don't do this on our own. And if someone has paved the way for us, whether it just to be a model of what we want to develop after, or something to get ideas from, I'm usually not comfortable with talking to strangers. I'm usually not comfortable with reaching out to people. I like to stay secluded. I like to be on my own, do things in the background. But I reached out to a couple of nurses this week from Instagram, following certain hashtags on Instagram, and I reached out to a couple of holistic nurses and was able to get some really good pointers on things I needed to focus on, associations I needed to reach out to, things like licensure and liability insurance, things that I hadn't even thought about, that I got these pointers from these nurses for reaching out to them. So, never be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. Willingness is going to be at the forefront of any type of change you want to make in your life. So I'll do another post sometime next week. My schedule this week coming up isn't as pretty as it was last week for me to have the kind of time that I want to have, but I think it's really important for me to kind of jump out there and say, if there are things in your life that you want to change or grow or build or, correct, if there are patterns that you see repeating themselves over and over and you don't feel like you are making the necessary changes, or maybe you don't know what to do first, the first thing you have to do is be willing. So this is Phoenix Holistic Health and Wellness signing off.